Good day. My name is David Gamble, a retired teacher of English, history, drama, and a few other things for about 50 years, and has been my business for some time. I present here part two of a three-part series on Macbeth. Part one was the background, history in terms of tragedy. Part two, the narrative structure, the literary devices, and analysis of the narrative divisions, followed by part three, which is focuses on the gender relationship between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, with assorted attended themes that go with that. Um, the role of the imagination in part three, which this is we will discuss at some length. So the focus audience should be senior high school students who are trying to catch up, write tests, etc., or enjoy and hopefully enjoy. The um, beginning college student. For this is not high-end academia. This is the experience of teaching at grade 13. I did grade 13 way back when, and the senior high school students to the best of my ability. I hope most kids enjoyed it. You just love to ham it up. Um, Also, the beginning teacher, I remember it, I do remember it some years ago, how daunting and overwhelming the task is to get everything ready, get the marking done, the marks in, etc. I hope these lectures can be of some use to the beginning teacher. My heart's with you. Also, people buying tickets, so your ticket will be value will be enhanced. If you listen to the lectures, I think you'll get a lot more out of the production that you see. So let's go. So, Macbeth Part 3, gender confusion and the role of the imagination is the focus. Gender distinction, a core of nature's eternal plan, is not spared. But Lady Macbeth wills herself into a toxic masculinity which she needs, for the feminine was considered to be weaker. She wants to be strong, and she desires to be that maleness, because Macbeth she sees as wavering with conscience, and it's feminizing him, and it's too full of the milk of human kindness. So Macbeth, a timid shell, who would live a coward in his own esteem, that's Act 1, Scene 7, line 43, will do battle with the torments of his conscience, and she's had enough of that. A sign of cowardice in this ambitious man of action will be eradicated by her. Such is the condition through Act 1, Scene 5 to the conclusion of Act 3, Scene 4. The confusion of gender, a core reversal of nature in the grand scheme of God's order. Right, very conservative. We have other issues today, but we're not going to go into that. It turns fair to foul, as introduced by the three witches in the opening scene. This encourages this gender ambiguity where she will be the male. So we're introduced to the idea with the ambiguity of the bearded witches, who are women. As Banquo will say, you should be women, but your beards forbid me to interpret that you are so. Um, so this ambiguity of gender is set up right at the beginning with the witches. Excuse me. Lady Macbeth's response to Macbeth's letter she receives in Act 1, Scene 5 firmly grounds the motif. Excuse me. She accuses him of being feminine, weak of will, for his nature is too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest way. Act 1, Scene 5, lines 17 to 18. Not so this warrior, Lady Macbeth, who condemns the feminine, in fact, motherhood in nature, for she says, come to my woman's breast and take my milk for gall, that vile bile that comes from your liver, right? And it tastes terrible. It's awful. Take my milk for gall. You murdering ministers, wherever in your sightless substances you wait on nature's mischief. It's an incantation to evil. Act 1, Scene 5, 47. Her incantations to thick night in the dunnest smoke of hell, 1 Scene 550, steals her for his entrance before he arrives. At this point, she is will, he conscience. They will do battle, will versus conscience. I mean, how human that is, right? It's an abstract, or perhaps it's a psychological condition, or a condition of humanity. Will versus conscience versus will. For that feminine thing will not be allowed. We will speak further. Act 1, Scene 5, line 71. He stalls. We will speak further. I'll talk about it. We're not talking about now. We'll talk about tomorrow. Only to be dismissed with, you leave all the rest to me, as she takes dominance. Act 1, Scene 573. For the regicide, will must reign over conscience. Regicide, the killing of the king. Her will. She wins. Whatever masculine pride he has left has been subsumed by her dominance. Ironically, reminiscent of Duncan's "There's no art to find the mind's construction of the case," he said of other traitors, not of Macbeth, ironically to them, find the mind's construction of the face, Act 1, Scene 4, line 11, delivered as his murderer enters. Shakespeare does set it up well, you have to admit. Macbeth capitulates to her later. This is Act 1, Scene 7. I am settled. Okay, wife, dearest, and bend up each corporal bodily agent to this terrible feat. Away, and mock the time with fairest show. False face must hide what the false heart doth know. He capitulates to her. Act 1, Scene 7, line 80. He will perform now that her will has overcome his reservations. There remains a persistent question. If she had argued morally for the manifestations of virtue to challenge the ambition he already had hiding in him, would he have killed Duncan without her? She doesn't recommend morality, and he does kill Duncan. It's not a question, really. Incrementally, his overpowering imagination following the murder will ultimately control him more deeply than she controls him, for he has no power over his fantasies. Remember, he says, oh, this bloody hand, if I wash it in the water, the entire oceans of the world will become red. Great hyperbole, he says. Act 2, Scene 2, line 58. What hands are here? They pluck out mine eyes. Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand? No, this hand will rather the multitudinous seas incarnadine, making the green one red universally. What an imagination, and that's very crucial, the imagination. I'm going to throw it out right now. It is the tragedy of the imagination. Tragedy of ambition on the externally, but internally, a tragedy of the imagination. It's so out of whack, he can't control it. Although imaginations are a good thing. We have art, we have poetry, we have Shakespeare, right? But when it's out of whack, it consumes you. Tragedy of the imagination. That's my interpretation. You have your own, I hope. Although early in his decline, as he suffers this state of horror, his conscience still operates. With Duncan's blood gilding his hands, as he says, he laments, to know my deed were best not know myself. For his, that's Act 2, Scene 2, 72. For his regret is deep. He still has some conscience left. We got to get rid of that. Wake, Duncan, with thy knocking, I would thou couldst. Although her role, that's Act 2, Scene 273, although her role will wane, she is not finished. Taking ownership of the daggers, he's brought them down to her. What are you doing? With taking ownership of the daggers, she must tell the trembling mass to go to bed. Her work, her caretaking is unfinished. As his imagination takes dominance, it excludes her. It's a nemesis for the good lady. He has eaten on the insane root that takes the reason prisoner. That's Banquo's line. It applies to him. He has lost rationality. Act 1, Scene 3, 84. States the cautionary by Banquo after their meeting the witches. Following the murder, he no longer acts out of ambition, but out of fear. There's nothing left. Thereby killing Banquo, an act he performed singly without her. There's a change. His isolation from her does not go unnoticed as she asks, "How now, my lord? Why do you keep alone of sorriest fancies your companions making, using those thoughts which should indeed have died with them they think on? How come I don't see any more?" 3 Scene 2, line 8. Immediately, he confirms his solitary dark condition with his immediate response to her questions of what has to be done. Notice also his disturbingly netherworld, down low, hellish imagery, promising more horrendous events in darkness. "Oh," he says to her, "then thou be jocund. Oh, be happy, be light. Oh, thou be jocund, ere the bat hath flown his cloistered flight, ere to black Hecate's summons the shard-born beetle with his drowsy hums hath rung night's yawning peals." He's relishing this darkness and the night time. "There shall be done a deed of dreadful note." Desperately she questions to be included, but receives rebuff with a diminutive term Macbeth might use with a child, indicating the upset in their relationship. "Oh, be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, little pumpkin. Till thou applaud the deed, I'll tell you later, and you can be happy." Act 3, Scene 245. Furthermore, Lady Macbeth is excluded from his interviews with the murderers. She does not witness his adulatory treatment of the murderers, another reversal of nature. Another reversal. Her last role will now be to struggle to keep him together as he encounters Banquo's ghost, perhaps an uncontrollable hallucination. We don't know that it's real. From his heat-oppressed brain, Act 2, Scene 139. The nature of the ghost is open to interpretation. However, the audience of his day would have no trouble accepting the supernatural. He is now dominant, however self-isolated. "For mine own good, all causes shall give way." This is an incredible line. "For mine own good, all causes shall give way." I am the megalomaniac here. Get out of my way. "I am in blood stepped in so far. Should I wade no more? Returning, going back, trying to recover. Returning where is tedious, boring work, tiresome work. As go o'er, I might as well go ahead. Strange things I have in head that will to hand, which may be acted ere they may be scanned." I'm going to read that again. I think that is such a crucial speech. "For mine own good, all causes shall give way. I am in blood stepped in so far, that should I wade no more, returning where is tedious as go o'er. Strange things I have in hand that will to hand, which must be acted ere they may be scanned." Go ahead. Act 3, Scene 4, 134. With her dominance, she has managed to expunge his limiting feminine conscience. However, at this point, her being set aside is an unintended consequence of her actions, collateral damage. Ultimately, her nemesis, this isolation, she is dismissed. Restraint has ended. His evil is now his own. Off he goes to seek counsel, not from her, but from those strange ladies, the witches, whose beards forbid me to determine that you are so, as men or women, or men or women. A visit that will lead to his undoing. We do not see her at all in Act 4. She disappears. She's gone. But next witness her soul sickness in her sleepwalking scene. In Act 5, Scene 1, she has gone mad. However, we have been forewarned of her decline, for the author has given germane hints. As Macbeth is about the dastardly deed, she admits to needing alcohol for courage. What hath quenched them The grooms, regarding Duncan, have given me fire. She had to have a few drinks, get the courage up. Yeah, it's a human story, I suppose. It seems that the agents of darkness have not taken her milk for gall completely, for she confesses to conscience, had he not resembled my father as he slept, I had done. Right? It's you be all of that, but there's always some little dialectical opposite in there somewhere. However, after rallying to pull him together with flattery, why, worthy Thane, you do unbend your noble strength. She flatters him. O worthy Thane, she's trying to get back in his graces again. O why, worthy Thane, you do unbend your noble strength to think so brain sickly of things. She, rallying when necessary, returns the daggers herself. Following his near collapse over the murder, she recovers while his imagination takes off by fantasizing the seas filled with blood, needing to rally at the banquet. Her adept control is restored very temporarily. However, the author has prepared the audience for the dearest Chuck to be dismissed, for the plans for more carnage are his only. He tells her when the Thanes have been dismissed, we are but young indeed. By this point, the we is the royal plural, not a union between the two. When we see her again, she is sleepwalking in her nightmare. We, I am the, it's me, I am we, I am the king, dearest Chuck. We have witnessed a backing, sorry, pardon me. We have witnessed a backing and forthing in the relationship in the core of the play. The role reversal is central to their failure. The drama is not merely Macbeth versus Blessed Scotland, but also a tug of war with his wife, as illustrated. Lady Macbeth begins as dominant, we saw that, internalizing what she believes to be masculinity, that's power in action, while pushing him vehemently to find what she thinks should be his. Find your masculinity, find your, I won't say it. He begins as the timorous husband, halted by conscience that must be expunged. Ultimately, he succeeds, while Lady Macbeth, in her rejection and isolation, fails. She defeats herself with her own obsession, yet he ends up solitary, alone, and devoid of feeling. He feels nothing. Having dismissed even his concern for her and life itself, his void is his nemesis. His nemesis is his void. Right? She dies with no dignity. However, as a man, not true of him. He does recover some dignity. Arm and out. I will not kiss young Malcolm's feet or be cursed by the rabble. I will lay on Macduff. Cursed be he that cries, hold enough. I'm getting the words wrong, but it's close. He faces Macduff. However, through the course of the play, the couple crisscrosses, up, down, one's up, one's down. Unfortunately, they bolster each other in the wrong direction. In the end, their contract dies. The doctor cannot cure her, for her disease is not the body. Her diagnosis assigns her sickness to her mind, not her body. Not so, my lord, as she is troubled with thick coming fancies that keep her from her rest. That's Act 5, Scene 337. Remember, sleep is a motif in this play. Sleep that knits up the raveled sleeve of care, sore labor's bath. Great nature's second chorus, they don't have it. They cannot be restored. I'm sure many of us have gone a night without sleep and you feel like something the cat dragged in the next day. That's how they live. Macbeth, after discarding the doctor, does not attend to his wife. In fact, when she, in all probability, commits suicide, over she goes one of the turrets, one of the high walls, his only words are, oh, she should have died hereafter. Act 5, Scene 517, giving no hint of grief, no remorse. He has no compassion, no empathy, not even for her. His imagination has destroyed any kind of empathy. It's not lurking there. He has some concern at the end for restoring some manhood, which he does to a degree, and that's it. So there's an uplift, and that's the catharsis. He has no compassion, no empathy, not even for her. He is incapable. He immediately attests to the current nihilism, nihil, nothing, belief in nothingness. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Life is meaningless for his but for his final act of challenging his opponents, like a warrior. Remember the old warrior? Making some restitution of his manhood, Bellona's bridegroom. Brave Macbeth, and well, he deserves that name. Maybe there's a shred that we give him at the end. That's awfully confusing because we don't like him very much. Ring the alarm bell. Blow wind, come rack. At least we'll die with harness on our back. Ironically, in retrospect, his performance to the nobles upon the discovery of Duncan's corpse, when he's play acting, but it's predictive of or prophetic of his ending. This will be the man in his final moments. When Duncan dies, and when he dies, this is it. Shakespeare did set the dialogue up very well, one has to see. All is but poise. Renown and grace is dead. He's talking about Duncan, but it's for him at the end. The wine of life is drawn, and the mere lees dregs is left this vault to brag of. The wheel comes full circle as this sacrilege of regicide forecasts his nihilism in his last days. The drama has unity. Macbeth is a morality play. Think of the medieval morality plays. Two-dimensional, you might say, but they set up good versus evil. This is a psychological play in the Renaissance understanding of the human, a political play of tyranny, and a Renaissance tragedy in which the hero must face his self-created, not like Oedipus, self-created destiny concluded by an attendant catharsis, allowing the hero some, even little, restoration of self. It's not like Hamlet or Lear. It's grand. It's elevated. It's spiritual. The play is tight, compact, and riveting. An excellent model for study in senior high school. This is, I think, it. Or actually, grade 10s do it well. I would do Romeo and Juliet at grade 9, but grade 10s do this well. And The Tempest is always good to do, by the way. Senior high school, a text which should be done for students to experience a great drama by the greatest English playwright of them all. And thank you so much for listening. Look for more. There'll be more on other plays. Thank you.